What if I told you there were monsters lurking in the shadows of our past? Throughout history, there have been countless stories of strange and terrifying creatures. But what if some of these myths are actually true? From the legendary beast of Gévaudan, a wolf-like creature that terrorized a small French town in the 18th century, to the frozen giants of Siberia, whose bodies were discovered in the ice, the truth is often stranger than fiction. And then there are the creatures that haunt our nightmares, like the terrifying Gorgon, Medusa, whose image was so disturbing it was banned by the Roman Catholic Church. But what if Medusa was more than just a myth? What if she was based on a real creature that stalked the earth? Join me as we uncover the most chilling legends and discoveries of the ancient world. You won't believe what we found. Myths are like ripples on a pond, spreading and shifting until they're almost unrecognizable from their source. Legends often begin with whispers of beasts too strange, too powerful, or too terrifying to be real. People pass down these stories through generations, embellishing them with each retelling until the line between fact and fiction blurs beyond recognition. But sometimes the myth isn't just a story, it's a creature that never quite went away, hiding somewhere in the world, just out of sight. Today, we're diving into the murky depths of half-forgotten lore and bringing you 5 creatures whose existence was once called into question, only to be proven real beyond a shadow of a doubt. Welcome back, I'm your host, and let's jump right into today's episode, starting off our countdown at number 5, the Okapi. In the dense, dark heart of the African rainforest, where sunlight struggles to penetrate the thick canopy and shadows dance on the forest floor, there's a creature that seems straight out of a fantasist's dream. If you think I'm talking about some mythical beast with rainbow wings or a tail that wags in the sky, hold that thought, because what I'm describing is very real. The Okapi, also known as the forest giraffe, perfectly embodies this magical enigma. Its upper body resembles a giraffe, but its lower body looks like a zebra, complete with those bold black and white stripes. How did such an oddity escape the notice of scientists for so long? Well, the answer lies in the very nature of the Okapi. They prefer the solitude of the forest, keeping to the shade and shunning the open clearings where researchers might spot them. Their elusive nature has earned them the nickname forest giraffe, and they've been part of African folklore for ages, often spoken of in hushed tones as if afraid to disturb the magic they embody. However, despite their reputation for being shy and elusive, Okapi have not been completely absent from human records. There were accounts from Arab traders in the 18th century who spoke of a strange horse-like animal with a long neck and zebra-like stripes on its legs and belly. It wasn't until 1901, though, that a British explorer named Sir Harry Johnston captured an Okapi skin and brought it back to England. This specimen was then classified and officially described by scientists as a new species. Today, we know that the Okapi is not a hybrid, as some have suggested, but a separate species altogether. And while they may not be as tall as giraffes, they are just as real and just as magnificent. Moving on at number 4, the giant squid. For centuries, tales of colossal squids were dismissed as tall tales, the stuff of fishermen's yarns spun to scare landlubbing recruits or unsuspecting tourists. Stories of legendary sea monsters are nothing new, but the giant squid is one beast whose existence was doubted even as evidence mounted. Think about it. In a world where squids are generally known for their rather average size, ranging from a few inches to a couple of feet in length, the idea of a monster squid reaching over 100 feet in length seems far-fetched. That's like going from your average garden slug to a fully grown elephant. Yet here we are. Recent expeditions have documented and studied live giant squid, confirming their existence. And it turns out these creatures aren't just myths. They're incredibly real. Imagine encountering a giant squid in its natural habitat. Its massive tentacles drifting past you like the arms of a giant, its huge eyes staring back at you with ancient wisdom, its skin like wrinkled leather, deep ocean lines etched into its being. The giant squid is not just a larger version of the squids we're familiar with. It's a creature of epic proportions that challenges our perception of the natural world. As with many sea creatures, the exact size of the giant squid remains uncertain due to the difficulties of measuring them in their natural environment. However, the largest giant squid ever recorded was a female weighing 600 pounds with a mantle length of 7 feet and tentacles reaching 33 feet. This particular squid was caught off the coast of New Zealand in 1925. While this may seem like an anomaly, sightings and encounters with giant squids are relatively common. Many squid hunters recount tales of hooking these behemoths, but they often break free before they can be properly measured. These stories, once dismissed as exaggerations, are now supported by photographs and video footage. Thanks to modern technology, we're able to document and verify these encounters, bridging the gap between legend and reality. The giant squid reminds us that the ocean's depths hold mysteries that defy our imagination. So the next time someone tells you a story about a sea monster, consider that it might just be an echo of a truth we're only beginning to understand. Coming in at number 3, the Komodo dragon. When it comes to myths and legends, few are as enduring and terrifying as the tales of dragons. These magnificent beasts have captured our imaginations for centuries, appearing in myths, legends, and folklore across the globe. And while many dismiss them as mere fantasy, what if the truth lies somewhere in between reality and myth? Enter the Komodo dragon, a creature so bizarre and awe-inspiring that it seems straight out of a prehistoric fairy tale. The Komodo dragon, native to the Indonesian islands of Komodo, Rinca, Flores, Gili Motang, and Padar, is the largest living species of lizard. These formidable creatures can reach lengths of up to 10 feet and weigh over 300 pounds. Now, while this may not sound like the stuff of legends, wait until you hear what else these dragons can do. The Komodo dragon's most striking feature is perhaps its most feared, its sharp and powerful claws. With these weapons, it can easily dig into its prey, tearing flesh with ease. And while their bite isn't venomous per se, their saliva contains toxins that can quickly incapacitate their victims, leading to death within hours. These deadly lizards are true predators, feeding primarily on deer, water buffalo, and pigs. But they're not picky eaters and will tackle anything that enters their territory. But the Komodo dragon's reign at the top of the food chain hasn't been challenged without consequences. The Komodo National Park, established in 1980, aims to protect not just these unique creatures, but also the diverse flora and fauna that inhabit their ecosystem. Despite their fearsome reputation, the Komodo dragons are a vital part of their ecosystem, helping to control populations of herbivores and prevent overgrazing. They're also a key tourist attraction for the region, bringing in much-needed revenue and raising awareness about the importance of conservation. The Komodo dragon is a reminder that the line between myth and reality is often blurred. What may seem like a creature of fantasy can turn out to be an all-too-real and very dangerous predator. At number 2, we have the coelacanth. For centuries, the coelacanth was considered a creature of legend, a fish that had supposedly gone extinct 66 million years ago. But in 1938, a South African fisherman hauled in a strange catch, a fish unlike any he'd seen before. It was heavy, oddly shaped, and strangely familiar. This was no ordinary fish. It was a coelacanth, a living fossil that had somehow survived for millions of years. The coelacanth belongs to a group of fish called lobe-finned fishes, which are characterized by their fleshy, lobed fins. These ancient creatures first appeared on Earth around 365 million years ago, during the Devonian period. They were some of the first vertebrates to venture out of the water and onto land, eventually giving rise to amphibians and ultimately to us. But by the end of the Cretaceous period, 66 million years ago, all coelacanths were believed to have gone extinct. That was until 1938, when the first living coelacanth was discovered. This remarkable find was made by a South African museum curator named Marjorie Courtney Latner. She was examining a fish that had been brought in by a local fisherman when she realized that it was unlike any other fish she'd seen before. Further research revealed that it was a coelacanth, a species that was supposed to have gone extinct millions of years earlier. Since then, several more coelacanths have been found, all of them living in the deep waters off the coast of South Africa and Indonesia. These creatures have remained largely unchanged for millions of years, offering us a unique window into the past. The discovery of the coelacanth serves as a reminder that there's still so much we don't know about our world, and that even creatures that are thought to be extinct can still be found lurking in the shadows. And finally, coming in at number 1, the babirusa. The babirusa is a mythical beast whose very existence seemed to be called into question by scientific minds. A hybrid of pig and deer, unicorn, bison, and antelope, this animal seems to be an enigma, a jumble of contradictory features that doesn't fit neatly into any known species. Yet it exists, living and breathing in the forests of Indonesia. The babirusa's defining characteristic is its most unusual, a pair of spiraling tusks that protrude from its forehead like the horns of a young deer. These tusks are not just unique, they're also a mystery. Scientists have been unable to determine exactly how or why they evolve, making them a fascinating subject of study for biologists and geneticists alike. These tusks, a central feature of babirusa lore, have fueled myths and legends for centuries. Some say they grow continuously, while others claim they fall off and regrow. The truth, however, lies somewhere in between these tales. Babirusa tusks do grow, but at a rate of around half an inch per year. They can also fall off, but only if they become damaged or infected. When a tusk breaks off, a new one starts growing underneath it, eventually replacing the lost tusk. The babirusa's unique appearance has led to its being worshipped as a divine creature in some cultures. They're said to be immortal, forever young and forever wild, a symbol of the untamed spirit of the forest. The Sulawesi crested macaque, another inhabitant of the forests where the babirusa lives, is similarly revered. Both creatures are shrouded in mythology, embodying the magic and mystery of the Indonesian wilderness. The babirusa's existence is a testament to the boundless creativity of nature. It's a creature that defies easy categorization, challenging our traditional understanding of taxonomy and reminding us that the natural world is full of surprises. All right, folks, that's our list. But before we go, I want to hear from you. Which of these creatures surprised you the most? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe for more intriguing journeys through history. Until next time, stay curious. Thanks for watching. They say every culture has its own religion. But when we dig deeper into history, we find that it isn't always true. Some cultures share religious beliefs and practices that transcend geographical boundaries. Take, for example, the ancient civilizations of Mesopotamia, Egypt, Mesoamerica, Rome, and India. Although separated by vast distances and time, each had their own sacred animal that was worshipped like a god. Welcome to my channel. Today, let's explore 5 animals that were worshipped like gods in ancient civilizations. Part 1, the sacred bulls of Mesopotamia, the cradle of civilization. That's what they call Mesopotamia today, a region in the Middle East roughly corresponding to parts of modern-day Iraq, Kuwait, and Turkey. It was here between 1900 BC and 1500 BC, where human beings first conceived the idea of city living, establishing the world's first cities, making the first laws, forming the first economies, and creating the first known religions. Now, this was over 3,000 years ago, and at that point of time, the only thing that humans knew about the world beyond was chaos. Humans did not have any means to study nature or understand the physical world around them, and so they started observing animals to form their conclusions. Of course, an ox was a much larger and stronger than a human being, and yet it would submit itself to the human will. It ate what humans gave it, worked when humans asked it to work, and even slept where humans asked it to sleep. This made bulls extremely valuable assets for early Mesopotamians who largely depended on agriculture for survival. However, since they were so valuable, they also became personified. In fact, the Sumerians, one of the earliest civilizations in Mesopotamia, believed that the bull was a symbol of divine authority. When Gudea, the priest-king of Lagash, wanted to assert his power, he would dress up like a bull and charge into battle. Later, the Akkadians merged with the Sumerians and adopted many of their religious beliefs, including the worship of the bull god. They associated bulls with fertility and prosperity and believed that they could protect them from evil spirits. The most prominent bull god in Mesopotamian mythology was Taurus, the son of the moon god Sin and the father of the hero Gilgamesh. He was depicted as a powerful and majestic bull with sharp horns and a flowing mane. He represented strength, courage, and virility, and his image was used on coins, statues, and seals to symbolize wealth and power. Taurus was also linked to the constellation Taurus, the bull, and was believed to be a celestial guardian of the heavens. To the Mesopotamians, bulls were not just animals. They were embodiments of divine energy. They saw them as channels through which the gods expressed themselves in the mortal world. So they treated them with reverence and respect. Number 4. Cats in ancient Egypt. Ancient Egypt, a land of pharaohs and pyramids. It's a place that has captured the imagination of people all over the world. But it's also a place that's home to some of the most fascinating animals, including the cat. The ancient Egyptians kept cats as pets, but they also revered them as religious figures. Cats were often mummified and buried with their owners, suggesting that they were seen as important members of the family. They were given names and were celebrated with festivals, and they were even worshipped as goddesses. The most famous of these feline deities was Bastet, the goddess of cats. She was usually depicted as a woman with a cat's head and was associated with fertility, protection, and motherhood. Bast was one of the most popular and widely worshipped goddesses in the Egyptian pantheon. Her cult was centered in the city of Bubastis, where a major festival was held in her honor every year. People came from all over Egypt to attend the festival, which featured music, dancing, and animal sacrifices. The ancient Egyptians believed that cats had special powers and that they could protect them from harm. They believed that cats could ward off evil spirits and that they could bring good luck. They also believed that cats could communicate with the gods and that they could help guide the dead to the afterlife. For the ancient Egyptians, cats were more than just animals. They were religious figures who were worshipped and respected by the people. They were seen as protectors and guides who could help them navigate the dangers of the world. Number 3, the feathered serpent of Mesoamerica. The feathered serpent, also known as Quetzalcoatl, was a Mesoamerican deity who was worshipped by several different cultures, including the Aztecs, Maya, and Mixtec. This serpent is often depicted as having feathers, wings, and a human face. It was seen as a symbol of wisdom, knowledge, and the wind. It was also associated with the planet Venus and was believed to be a bringer of light and civilization. Now, the Aztecs, one of the most famous Mesoamerican cultures, believed that the feathered serpent was a god who had come down from the heavens to teach them how to live. He was credited with giving them the arts of agriculture, architecture, and government. He was also seen as a warrior god who helped them in their battles against their enemies. The Maya, another Mesoamerican culture, had their own version of the feathered serpent god. They called him Kukulkan, and they believed that he had come down from the heavens to teach them the secrets of the universe. He was seen as a wise and mysterious teacher who was revered by the Maya. The feathered serpent god was also worshipped by other Mesoamerican cultures, such as the Mixtec. They believed that the god was a creator deity who had brought life to the world. He was seen as a benevolent and protective deity who watched over his people. But why did these ancient cultures believe that the feathered serpent god had come to Earth? Well, it's possible that these beliefs were inspired by actual historical events. The Toltec Empire, which predated the Aztec Empire, had a strong influence on the cultures of Mesoamerica. The Toltec were known for their advanced knowledge of astronomy and mathematics, and it's possible that they had observed the movement of the planet Venus and interpreted it as a sign of divine intervention. Another theory suggests that the feathered serpent god may have been based on a real historical figure, such as an extraterrestrial visitor or a shamanistic healer. This idea is supported by the fact that the god is often depicted as having a human face and is associated with wisdom and knowledge rather than purely supernatural powers. Number 2, wolves of Roman myth, wolves in ancient Rome. These aren't just wild animals. They're symbols of power, loyalty, and courage. The Romans believed that the wolf was a sacred animal that could protect them from harm. And it was even said that Romulus and Remus, the legendary founders of Rome, were nursed to health by a she-wolf after they were abandoned in the wilderness. But it wasn't just their belief in the wolf as protective powers that led the Romans to worship this animal. They also saw it as a symbol of their own strength and power. In Roman mythology, the wolf was associated with the goddess Lupa, who was the protector of the Roman people. The Romans believed that Lupa gave the she-wolf that saved Romulus and Remus, and that the wolf was a manifestation of the goddess's power. The Romans honored the wolf with festivals and rituals, and they even built temples in its honor. One of the most famous examples of the Romans' reverence for the wolf is the Capitoline wolf, a bronze statue that depicts the she-wolf suckling Romulus and Remus. This statue is now one of the most important artifacts in the collection of the Capitoline museums in Rome. The Romans weren't the only ones who saw the wolf as a divine creature. Other ancient cultures, such as the Greeks and the Celts, also had their own myths and legends about the wolf. The Greeks, for example, believed that the wolf was a sacred animal that could guide the souls of the dead to the underworld. And the Celts believed that the wolf was a symbol of strength and independence. 1. The elephant deities of India. India, a land of ancient traditions and beliefs, has always had a deep connection with animals, particularly elephants. Elephants have been revered in India for thousands of years, and they have played an important role in its religious and cultural history. The ancient Indians believed that elephants were sacred animals that could be used as vehicles for their gods. In Hinduism, one of the main deities, Lord Ganesha, is depicted riding a rat. Another deity, Lord Kurma, is shown riding a tortoise. But perhaps the most well-known elephant deity is Airavat, the Mount of Indra, the king of the gods in Hinduism. According to Hindu mythology, Aryavarta was created from the churning of the ocean and was given to Indra, who rode it into battle. Aryavarta is depicted as a white elephant with tusks that reach up to the sky. In Buddhism, there are several elephant deities, including Ekadanta, who is the embodiment of the first precept of not killing. There are many legends associated with these elephant deities, and they are often depicted in Buddhist art. The ancient Indians believed that elephants had special powers, and they were often used in religious ceremonies and rituals. Elephants were seen as symbols of strength, wisdom, and good fortune. They were also believed to be able to ward off evil spirits and bring good luck to those who worship them. In addition to their religious significance, elephants have also played an important role in Indian culture. They have been used as a symbol of power and royalty, and they have been depicted in ancient Indian art and literature. The reverence for elephants in India can still be seen today, and they continue to be an important part of Indian culture and religious beliefs. As we continue to explore the rich tapestry of ancient civilizations, we uncover fascinating insights into their beliefs, customs, and values. The veneration of animals like bulls, cats, feathered serpents, wolves, and elephants not only reflects their deep connection with the natural world, but also provides us with a window into their understanding of the divine. Each animal holds a unique place in their mythology and symbolism, offering us a glimpse into the minds of our ancestors. As we delve deeper into the stories and beliefs surrounding these sacred creatures, we gain a greater appreciation for the diversity and complexity of human culture and the enduring legacy of ancient traditions. These animals were more than just creatures to these ancient people. They were symbols of their faith, their culture, and their very survival. They remain a reminder of the profound bond between humans and the natural world, and the timeless fascination with the mysteries of the cosmos. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe for more. A horrifying snarl echoes through the trees. Something big, ugly, and wild is moving in the shadows. Could it be an animal, a demon, or perhaps something worse? Join us as we look at 5 mythical creatures that might have been real. You won't believe what we find. 5. The Griffin. A proud roar shakes the ground. The griffin soars high above the mountains. Its lion body gives it great strength, and with the head and wings of an eagle, it can strike with speed and accuracy. For this majestic creature of myth and legend was the king of all beasts. Griffins were first found in ancient Mesopotamia around 2000 BCE, but they would soon show up in many other cultures. These legendary animals were depicted in Greece around 600 BC, and they appear often in Greek literature, including the Iliad and Odyssey. They also appear in Persia and Scythia, among other places. These creatures may have been part of a real animal, but that animal might be long extinct. The earliest depictions of griffins show them with the body of a lion and the head and wings of an eagle. However, later depictions show them with the head and wings of an owl. This suggests that they may have been inspired by an actual animal that looked like a mix between an owl and a lion. It could have been a large owl with powerful talons and sharp claws, which would explain why the griffin is always shown as a fierce predator. However, there are no owls that look like this, so the griffin could be a completely made-up monster. However, some believe the myth came from ancient fossils, beaked dinosaurs discovered in the Middle East, such as the Arabic ornithomimus, which is now extinct. They may have been mistakenly identified as griffins. Could these legends have come from extinct creatures that are now only bones and fossils? Number 4. The Kraken. The ship creaks and groans as the salty wind whips across the deck. The lookout cries out. A giant beast looms before them, tentacles flailing, eyes blazing. There isn't enough time to turn around or fire a cannon. They can only hope to outrun the monster. The crew scrambles as the gigantic squid wraps its tentacles around the mast and hauls it into the water. The sea boils and churns as the beast drags the ship down into the dark depths. This terrifying creature is known as the Kraken. Sailors have told tales of the Kraken since the 12th century. In 1857, a Norwegian author wrote a story about a man who had seen a huge underwater beast. He described it as having a large head with 8 tentacles and 2 great horns. The story quickly became popular, and the Kraken became known as a fearsome monster. But giant squid are real. Scientists have confirmed that giant squid do exist. They live in the darkest parts of the ocean and can grow to over 40 feet long. They have huge eyes and strong tentacles that they use to capture their prey. So could the Kraken be real? The answer is yes. Giant squid have been hunted by humans for centuries, and many fishermen have claimed to have seen one. However, they are very rare, and most people don't believe that they exist. But maybe the old maps weren't exaggerating. 3. The Rock. A storm rages across the land, the wind howls, and the rain pours down in torrents. Suddenly, a massive shadow falls over the land, and a loud screeching sound fills the air. The Rock has arrived. The Rock is a gigantic bird that is said to live in India and Arabia. It is described as being larger than any other bird and having a wingspan of up to 20 feet. The Rock is said to be so powerful that it can lift an elephant into the air with its talons. When the Rock flies, the air grows cold and the sky darkens. Its feathers are said to be so sharp that they can cut a man in half. But birds with 20-foot wingspans did exist. Scientists have found evidence of birds with huge wingspans in India and Arabia. They lived there about 10,000 years ago and were called Argentavis magnificens. They were huge, weighing up to 200 pounds, and their wingspan was up to 20 feet. The Argentavis was a scavenger, meaning it fed on dead animals. This would explain why it needed to be so big. It could then carry off large carcasses of animals and fly away. So could the roc still be living in India and Arabia today? The answer is probably not. The Argentavis went extinct about 10,000 years ago. This means that the roc is most likely a myth. However, there have been sightings of strange birds in India and Arabia. They are said to be huge, with a wingspan of up to 10 feet. These sightings could be of a new species of bird, or they could be of the legendary roc. What did our ancestors really see when they gazed up at the sky? Number 2, the dragon. In many cultures, dragons are depicted as powerful, scaly creatures with wings, sharp teeth and claws, and the ability to breathe fire. They are often shown as being greedy and hoarding treasure in caves or underwater. Dragons are usually defeated by brave heroes or heroines who use their wits, courage, and strength. But every culture has its dragon. There are Chinese dragons, Norse dragons, and even Mesoamerican dragons. The Mayans believed that the world was created by a feathered serpent god. The Aztecs also believed in a feathered serpent god, and they thought he had a human wife. This wife was said to be the first queen of the Aztec Empire. The Chinese dragon is usually depicted as a benevolent creature that brings good luck and prosperity. They are often shown as being wise and spiritual beings. In Norse mythology, dragons are shown as being evil creatures that bring destruction and chaos. They are often shown as being greedy and hoarding treasure. So could these legends have come from real creatures? Well, it's possible. We know that dinosaurs existed, and some of them were huge and terrifying. For example, the Tyrannosaurus rex was a huge meat-eating dinosaur that lived in North America about 68 million years ago. It was about 40 feet long and weighed over 7 tons. Then there's the same Caesaurus. This was a huge plant-eating dinosaur that lived in South America about 70 million years ago. It was about 50 feet long and weighed over 10 tons. Both of these dinosaurs were found in places where dragons are said to have lived. Could the legends of dragons have come from people who saw these dinosaurs? Maybe, but there are other possibilities. Some scientists think that the legends of dragons could have come from volcanic eruptions. When volcanoes erupt, they can create huge explosions and throw molten lava into the air. This lava can flow like a river of fire and destroy everything in its path. People who witnessed these eruptions could have been terrified and may have started telling stories about dragons. Others think that dragon legends could have come from ancient people who saw fossils of dinosaurs. Fossils are the preserved remains of ancient creatures. They can often be found in rocks, and sometimes they can look like strange and scary animals. If ancient people found fossils of dinosaurs, they may have believed that they were the remains of dragons. But what is true? Did dragons really exist? It's impossible to say for sure, but one thing is certain. The legends of dragons have captured the human imagination for thousands of years. Number 1, the werewolf. In the dark of the night, something stirs in the forest. It is a creature of nightmare, part man and part wolf, snarling and savage. It is the werewolf. Werewolves have been feared for centuries. People have told stories of these creatures that can turn into wolves. They've been blamed for the deaths of livestock and even people. In some countries, like France and Germany, entire villages have been wiped out because people believed they were harboring werewolves. But while modern science sees it as myth, ancient cultures recorded real accounts of men possessed, cursed, or transformed under strange circumstances. Werewolves are said to be able to change shape at will or when they are bitten by another werewolf. They are often portrayed as being violent and dangerous, and they are said to be able to hypnotize their victims. Could such a creature be real? The answer is probably not. However, there are cases of animals that can change color, like chameleons. There are also animals that can change sex, like clownfish. So it's not impossible that an animal could change into a different creature. But we know of no such animal that changes into a wolf. But what about the ancient accounts? Well, some believe that these accounts are of real events that were misreported. For example, there are cases of people who have contracted diseases that make them behave like animals. One disease is called lycanthropy. It causes the sufferer to behave like a wolf, and they may even grow hair on their face and body. Another disease is called hypertrichosis. It causes the sufferer to grow lots of hair, and this can make them look like a werewolf. Maybe those ancient people saw these diseases and believed they were caused by werewolves. But whatever the truth, one thing is certain. The legend of the werewolf has captured the human imagination for centuries. It has been used in books, films, and TV shows all over the world. And who knows? Maybe there really is a creature lurking in the forests that we haven't found yet. Thanks for watching. Which of these beasts did you find the most fascinating? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe if you're drawn to the strange echoes of the past. Frozen in time, untouched by decay, some ancient beings have returned from the dead, preserved perfectly in ice. What secrets do these frozen relics carry? What stories do they tell about the long-gone eras they're from? Join us as we unravel the mysteries of the past and bring you the incredible tales of 5 ancient creatures found preserved in ice for thousands of years. Each of these discoveries is a testament to the power of nature and the resilience of life. So sit back, relax, and let's embark on this journey through time together. Number 5. The Siberian steppe mammoth. Picture a vast, frozen wasteland, an icy realm where only the toughest creatures could hope to survive. This was the world of the woolly mammoth, a giant mammal with a thick coat of hair and enormous tusks that roamed the northern hemisphere during the Pleistocene epoch. But amidst the harsh conditions, there existed a smaller, more nimble member of the mammoth family, the Siberian steppe mammoth. Unlike its woolly cousin, this mammoth had shorter, sparser fur and smaller ears, making it better suited to the warmer climate of the steppes. However, despite these adaptations, the Siberian steppe mammoth was still vulnerable to the changing climate. And when the Ice Age began around 11,500 years ago, it became one of many species to go extinct. That is until now. In 2010, a farmer in Siberia stumbled upon a frozen carcass that changed everything. It was a well-preserved juvenile Siberian steppe mammoth, so well-preserved in fact, that its brain was still intact. This incredible find provided scientists with a rare opportunity to learn more about this long-extinct creature. By studying its DNA, researchers were able to gain insights into the evolutionary relationship between the Siberian steppe mammoth and other mammoth species, shedding light on the genetic factors that contributed to its extinction. It also gave us a glimpse into the creature's appearance and behavior, helping us to paint a more complete picture of what life was like for these ancient mammals. The discovery of this frozen mammoth was not just a scientific marvel, but a reminder of the fragility of life and the importance of preserving our planet's biodiversity. As we continue to explore the world around us, who knows what other secrets we might uncover? Perhaps there are other creatures from the past waiting to be found, frozen in time, just like this young mammoth. Number 4, the tumut puppy. Imagine a world much like our own, but inhabited by humans and dinosaurs. Now picture a dog, not just any dog, but a husky puppy frozen in time. It may sound like a scene from a fantasy movie, but it's actually a reality in Siberia. This is Dumat, a dog that has been frozen for over 10,000 years. Discovered in 1997 during the construction of a gold mine, Dumat's body was so well preserved that his fur and whiskers were still intact. This remarkable find provided scientists with a rare opportunity to study prehistoric dogs and their relationship to modern canines. By analyzing Dumat's DNA, researchers were able to trace the genetic lineage of domestic dogs back thousands of years. shedding light on the evolution of our beloved furry companions. But Dumont's story doesn't end there. His discovery also raised questions about the ancient human settlements in the region and the possibility of contact with prehistoric people. Experts believe that the dog may have belonged to a tribe of nomadic hunters who lived in Siberia during the Ice Age. The tribe may have kept domesticated dogs for hunting and companionship, and the two may have shared a close bond. This theory is supported by the dog's exceptional preservation, which suggests that it was highly valued by its owners. The story of the Dumont puppy is a fascinating window into the past, providing us with insights into the lives of prehistoric humans and the animals that accompanied them. It's a reminder of the deep connection that humans have had with dogs for thousands of years and the important role they've played in our history. Number 3. The Yukagir bison. Imagine walking through a snowy forest in Siberia and stumbling upon a frozen bison. You might think it's just a statue, but then you notice something strange. Its eyes are still visible, staring blankly ahead. This creature is not just any bison. It's a Yukagir bison, a prehistoric species that went extinct around 15,000 years ago. But how did this bison get frozen? Well, its story dates back to the Ice Age when Siberia was covered in ice sheets and snow. The Yukagir bison grazed on the frozen plains, adapted to the cold climate with its thick fur and woolly hide. But when the weather took a sudden turn, temperatures plummeted and snow fell relentlessly. The bison sought shelter in caves or under rock overhangs, but the elements were too strong. Some of them froze solid, becoming trapped in the ice. One such bison was discovered in 1997 by Russian scientists near the Yukagir Islands. Its body was so well preserved that it still had wool, horns, and even eyes. This gave scientists an unprecedented opportunity to study the Yukagir bison and learn more about its biology and behavior. It turned out that the bison was a subspecies of the steppe bison, which still exists today. But unlike its modern counterpart, the Yukagir bison was larger with longer horns and a thicker coat. This discovery shed new light on the evolution of bison and helped scientists understand how these magnificent creatures adapted to different environments over time. But it also raised questions about how the Yukagir bison went extinct. Was it due to climate change, overhunting by humans, or a combination of factors? Scientists are still working to find answers, but the discovery of the frozen bison has left us with a sense of wonder and respect for these majestic animals. Number 2. The woolly rhino of Yakutia. Imagine standing in the freezing cold of Yakutia, Russia, the world's coldest city, when suddenly you see a massive shape moving through the snow. It's a woolly rhinoceros, a creature that roamed the earth during the Ice Age. These rhinoceroses were famous for their thick fur and woolly coats that helped them survive in frigid temperatures. They had short, sturdy legs and large horns that they used for protection against predators. But like many other Ice Age creatures, the woolly rhino eventually went extinct. However, in recent years, scientists have discovered several frozen woolly rhino specimens in Siberia, including a calf that was only a few weeks old when it died. These rhinos were not just any ordinary animals. They were descendants of a lineage that had roamed the earth for over 2 million years. Their bodies were perfectly preserved in the ice, allowing scientists to study them in detail and learn more about their behavior and way of life. But woolly rhinos are not the only creatures whose remains have been found in Yakutsk. The city is located in an area that was once home to a wide variety of wildlife, including reindeer, horses, bison, and even mammoths. By studying these frozen creatures, scientists have been able to piece together a picture of what life was like in Yakutsk during the Ice Age. Number 1. The Ice Maiden of the Altai Mountains. Imagine discovering a perfectly preserved frozen woman in the remote Altai Mountains in Siberia. It sounds like the plot of a fantasy novel, but it's actually a reality. In 1993, Russian archaeologists stumbled upon the frozen remains of a woman who would come to be known as the Ice Maiden. The woman was incredibly well preserved, down to her eyelashes and fingernails. But who was she, and how did she become frozen in ice? According to legend, the Ice Maiden was the daughter of a local chieftain who was cursed by a shaman after angering him. The curse caused her to be frozen in ice, and her body was preserved so well that she appeared almost alive. While the legend is fascinating, scientific evidence tells a different story. The Ice Maiden is believed to have died of a snake bite, and her body was then preserved in the ice. But what makes her truly unique is the tattoos covering her body. These tattoos are not only beautiful works of art, but also provide valuable insight into the culture and beliefs of the people who lived in the Altai Mountains thousands of years ago. The Ice Maiden's tattoos show geometric patterns, animal figures, and symbols that are still not fully understood. Some believe that the tattoos may have had healing properties, while others think they were used to identify different social groups within the community. But perhaps the most intriguing aspect of the Ice Maiden's discovery is the controversy surrounding it. Some believe that the Ice Maiden was not a myth, but a real historical figure who was cursed by a shaman. Others argue that the entire story is a hoax, with the frozen body being a modern invention. Despite the controversy, the Ice Maiden remains an iconic symbol of the remote and mysterious Altai Mountains. Her discovery has captivated the imaginations of people around the world and inspired countless works of art and literature. Whether she is a mythical creature or a real historical figure, the Ice Maiden is a reminder of the many mysteries that still remain in our world. In conclusion, the world is full of mysteries, and the discovery of these 5 ancient creatures preserved in ice is a testament to that. From the Siberian steppe mammoth to the Ice Maiden of the Altai Mountains, each of these finds has provided us with a unique glimpse into the past. By studying these creatures and their remains, we are able to learn more about the history of our planet and the creatures that once inhabited it. So who knows what other amazing discoveries await us in the future? Maybe there are even more frozen relics from bygone eras just waiting to be found. If you enjoyed learning about these amazing creatures, don't forget to subscribe for more videos like this. We have lots of fascinating stories about history, archaeology, and paleontology that we know you'll love. Until next time, keep exploring the world and all its mysteries. Creatures of myth and legend? Perhaps we tend to think of the animal kingdom of today as relatively tame, but there was a time when Earth was a much more dangerous place. We're going to take a look at 5 extinct animals that terrified ancient humans. Viewer discretion is advised for this video, as some of this video may be offensive or disturbing. We, the makers of this video, in no way support or condone the actions of the subjects featured. This video is meant for educational purposes only. Number 5. The short-faced bear. If you thought that the largest living land predator was scary enough, then what about an animal that stood almost twice as tall as a human on 2 legs? That was the case with the short-faced bear, which not only walked upright, but did so while chasing its prey. One of the most famous fossil examples of this animal can be found in the La Brea tar pits, and it dates back around 11,000 years. Standing up to 8 feet tall, this bear was as tall as some humans and weighed up to 1,500 pounds. But it wasn't just the sheer size of the short-faced bear that made it terrifying. It was also the fact that it could run like the wind. Experts believe that the short-faced bear was capable of running up to 30 miles per hour, meaning that it could easily outrun a horse. Imagine being chased through the forest by a gigantic bear that can run faster than you. That would definitely be a nightmare scenario for any early human. And yet the short-faced bear was a reality for thousands of years across North America. But luckily for us, it died out around 11,000 years ago at the end of the last ice age. Number 4. The terror bird. Most people might assume that humans were the apex predators of their time, but that wasn't necessarily true. In fact, the apex predator in certain areas of the world was a giant flightless bird known as the terror bird. There were many species of terror birds in South America, but one of the most impressive was the Forus racos, which stood up to 9 feet tall and had a massive hooked beak that was built for killing. The name Forus Rakos means running with a spear, and that's a pretty apt description of how this bird hunted. They would chase down their prey and then use their beaks to skewer them like a spear. The skull of the terror bird was actually designed to withstand powerful impacts, suggesting that they struck with incredible force. So if you ever got on the wrong side of one of these birds, you wouldn't stand a chance. Luckily for us, these massive birds died out around 30,000 years ago, so we'll never have to worry about being skewered by a giant bird's beak. Number 3. The saber-toothed cat. The saber-toothed cat might seem like something out of a cartoon, but it was actually a real animal that lived during the Pleistocene epoch. This cat was larger than a tiger and it hunted in packs, making it even more dangerous than today's big cats. But what really made the saber-toothed cat terrifying was its fangs. These teeth were up to 7 inches long, which is longer than a human hand. Just imagine if a saber-toothed cat decided to use your hand as a chew toy. You wouldn't stand a chance. The saber-toothed cat was also known to ambush its prey, meaning that its victims often didn't see it coming until it was too late. This is evidenced by ancient cave paintings which show scenes of humans fleeing from saber-toothed cats. It's clear that these cats were seen as terrifying predators by those who lived at the same time as them. And luckily for us, they died out around 10,000 years ago, so we'll never have to worry about being attacked by one of these furry monsters. Number 2. The megalania. When you think of deadly Australian animals, you might think of things like snakes, spiders, and crocodiles. But did you know that there was once a giant lizard in Australia that was over 20 feet long? This animal was known as the megalania, and it's thought to have been the largest lizard that ever lived. Megalania was a type of varannosaur, which is a group of reptiles that includes crocodiles and alligators. But unlike those animals, Megalania was a land dweller. The Megalania was first discovered in 1871, and since then, paleontologists have pieced together its history through the few fossils that have been found. These fossils suggest that the animal lived in Australia between 4 and 6 million years ago. According to legend, the Megalania was responsible for many deaths among the Aboriginal population, and some Aboriginal stories tell of a giant reptile that stalked humans. Maybe these stories weren't just fairy tales, maybe they were actually based on encounters with the Megalania. After all, the animal was thought to be capable of taking down a kangaroo, which is no easy feat. The Megalania truly was a terrifying creature, but luckily for us, it died out millions of years ago. Number 1, the giant ground sloth. When you hear the word sloth, you probably think of a slow-moving, lazy animal that spends its days hanging upside down in trees. But did you know that there was once a giant ground sloth that roamed North and South America? The giant ground sloth was a mammal that lived during the Pleistocene epoch, and it was the size of a car. This massive creature was covered in thick fur and had claws the length of machetes. Just imagine being attacked by a giant sloth with those kinds of weapons. You wouldn't stand a chance. The giant ground sloth was a browser, meaning that it ate plants and probably spent its days looking for food. But don't let its herbivorous diet fool you. This animal was a force to be reckoned with. In fact, the giant ground sloth was so dangerous that it's thought to have been hunted by early humans. There are several fossil sites where bones of the giant ground sloth have been found alongside evidence of human activity. This suggests that our ancestors saw these creatures as a source of food, or perhaps they were trying to defend themselves against attacks. Whatever the reason, it's clear that the giant ground sloth was an important part of the prehistoric world. And without the giant ground sloth, our understanding of the prehistoric world would be incomplete. So next time you see a sloth hanging upside down in a tree, just remember that they used to be much larger and much more dangerous. Those are 5 of the scariest animals that ever lived. Now it's time for you to make your voice heard. Which animal do you think was the most terrifying? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe for more videos like this. Thanks for watching. Leave a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, and stay tuned for more content. Silent Ancient and enormous, they ruled a world we barely understand. Some were swift, some were armored, all were deadly. These are the 5 prehistoric sea monsters that ruled before the dinosaurs. 5. The Camarakaras. The ocean depths are dark, cold, and merciless, and life down there is often monstrous. Take, for example, the chambered nautilus, which still swims the oceans today. It's an alien-looking cephalopod armed with a sharp beak and tentacles that can snatch up prey in its colossal siphon. And it's not alone. There are dozens of nautilus species lurking in the darkness, but none more terrifying than the Camarasaurs. The name means crooked horn, and that's exactly what this monster looked like. Imagine a 30-foot-long shelled beast gliding silently through the water. That's how big the Camarasauras got. At 9 meters, it had to be one of the largest cephalopods that ever existed. It weighed nearly half a ton, and its shell was a labyrinth of chambers connected by a central siphon. The animal used these chambers to control its buoyancy, moving up and down in the water with ease. It also used them to store water, expelling it from the siphon at high pressure to propel itself forward. This jet propulsion allowed the Camarasaurus to swim with incredible speed, chasing down prey or escaping danger. But the most terrifying feature of all was its beak. Like a pair of giant scissors, it sliced through flesh and crushed bone. So when this monster hunted, there was no escape. Its tentacles lashed out with lightning speed, wrapping themselves around unsuspecting prey. Then the Camarasauro would retract its tentacles, pulling its victim closer and closer until it was within beak range. And that's where this prehistoric nightmare really started to tear through flesh. The only thing that might have been able to take on the Camarasaurus was another Camarasaurus. In fact, fossils tell us that the males fought each other with their beaks and tentacles in violent displays of strength. But their reign of terror didn't last forever. And when the oceans changed, the Camarasauros disappeared into extinction. Number 4. The Dunkleosteus. The heaviest fish that ever lived was also one of the scariest. Known as the Dunkleosteus, this beast grew up to 33 feet long and weighed over a ton. It had huge paddle-shaped fins and a mouth full of bone-crushing teeth. It was such a powerful predator that it could easily tear through the flesh of other fish and even bite in half other Dunkleosteus. The latter part isn't surprising when you look at its jaws. They were built for crushing, kind of like a guillotine made of bone. These jaws could deliver a bite force of over 700 pounds per square inch, enough to grind through anything from flesh to rock-hard scales. What's more, the Dunkleosteus was covered in armor. Its head, neck, and shoulders were protected by thick bony plates that were almost 2 inches thick. This heavy armor meant that the Dunkleosteus was very slow on land, but in the water, it was unstoppable. In fact, some researchers believe that the Dunkleosteus was the apex predator of its time, ruling the oceans with an iron fin, and it had good reason to be aggressive. The Dunkleosteus was constantly fighting for its life, not just against rivals, but against its own kind. Male Dunkleosteus battled each other for the right to mate. Sometimes these fights went on for hours, leaving both competitors exhausted and ready to give up. In the end, only one male would win the right to breed. But the violence didn't stop there. Sometimes female Dunkleosteus would even cannibalize each other's young, eating their eggs and stealing their babies. It was a desperate bid to ensure their own survival in a world that was full of danger. However, there were limits to the Dunkleosteus's power. In the end, it couldn't survive the drastic changes in the Earth's climate. It died out along with many other species at the end of the Devonian period. But its legacy lives on in the fossil record, a reminder of the truly terrifying creatures that once roamed the seas. 3. The Helicoprion. Sharks have been around for a long time. They first appeared in the oceans about 400 million years ago. Since then, they've evolved into all shapes and sizes, from the tiny dwarf lantern shark to the gigantic whale shark. But one of the most unusual sharks ever was the Helicoprion. This bizarre creature had a circular saw for teeth. They were shaped like long, thin spirals and could grow up to 8 inches in length. It's believed that the helicoprion used these teeth to slice through the flesh of its prey. But that's just the start of the story. For over a century, scientists couldn't figure out what the heck these weird teeth actually were. They searched everywhere from the front of the shark's mouth to the back of its throat, but they couldn't find either end of the spiral. It wasn't until 1950 that one scientist had the courage to cut open a helicoprion skeleton, and what he found was shocking. The spirals weren't teeth at all. They were part of the upper jaw, twisted together in a tight coil. But why did this shark have such a strange face? Maybe it was to help it find food. After all, some sharks use special receptors in their snouts to detect the weak electrical signals given off by prey. Or maybe it was to defend itself against predators. You see, some sharks use their teeth as weapons, not just for biting, but for stabbing and slashing. The helicoprion's spiral teeth could have been perfect for this job. Whatever the case, the shark's bizarre teeth were just one of its many unique features. It had a long, narrow body and large eyes that helped it hunt in the dark depths. It also had a special adaptation that allowed it to survive in low-oxygen environments. But despite its many adaptations, the helicoprion couldn't survive the mass extinction that wiped out most marine life 66 million years ago. Today, only a few of its fossilized teeth can be found in museums around the world. Number 2, the Liopleurodon. Marine reptiles ruled the oceans during the late Jurassic period. One of the biggest and baddest was the Liopleurodon. It was a type of plesiosaur, an aquatic reptile that had a whale-like body, flippers, and a huge head. But unlike modern whales, the Liopleurodon was a carnivore. It had rows of sharp-pointed teeth that it used to tear through flesh and crush bone. These teeth were so long and thin that they looked like sewing needles. It's estimated that the Liopleurodon could grow up to 33 feet long and weigh over a ton. That's bigger than any whale alive today. No wonder it was the apex predator of its time. It was basically the king of the oceans. But the Liopleurodon wasn't just big. It was also surprisingly fast. It could move through the water at speeds of up to 25 miles per hour. That's faster than most sharks. The Liopleurodon would chase down schools of fish, tearing them apart with its needle-like teeth. It could also take on larger prey, like other marine reptiles and even whales. The Liopleurodon's skull was almost 6 feet long, longer than a grown man's leg. It had a powerful bite and sharp claws that it used to hold on to its prey while it tore it to pieces. But not even the mighty Liopleurodon could survive the drastic changes in the Earth's climate. It died out along with many other species at the end of the Cretaceous period. But its legacy lives on in the fossil record, a reminder of the truly terrifying creatures that once roamed the seas. 1. The Basilosaurus. Whales today come in all shapes and sizes, from the enormous blue whale to the tiny dwarf sperm whale. But one of the strangest whales that ever lived was the Basilosaurus. This ancient creature was a true monster, growing up to 55 feet long and weighing over 100 tons. That's bigger than any whale alive today. But the Basilosaurus wasn't just big, it was also incredibly vicious. It had a serpent-like body with a row of jagged teeth that it used to slice through flesh and crush bone. It was basically the apex predator of its time, hunting other whales and marine reptiles without fear. But the Basilosaurus wasn't always so successful in its hunts. It had plenty of enemies, including the Megalodon. This massive shark was even bigger than the Basilosaurus. It had rows of huge, serrated teeth that it used to slice through flesh like butter. When these two giants clashed, it was a battle for the ages. The Basilosaurus would thrash its massive tail, sending the Megalodon crashing through the surface. Then it would open its wide mouth and clamp its teeth around the shark's body. The Megalodon would bite back, slashing through the Basilosaurus's skin and muscle. But the whale wasn't giving up. It would keep biting and clawing until the shark was dead. The Basilosaurus wasn't just brutal, it was also smart. It was one of the first whales to develop echolocation, which allowed it to navigate the darkest depths and find prey in the blackness. But despite its size, strength, and intelligence, the Basilosaurus couldn't survive the drastic changes in the Earth's climate. It died out along with many other species at the end of the Cretaceous period. But its legacy lives on in the fossil record, a reminder of the truly terrifying creatures that once swam the oceans. These ocean beasts vanished long before T-Rex ever lived, but their bones rest in stone. How do you think these sea monsters compare to the greatest monsters that walk the earth? Let me know your thoughts. Thanks for watching. Remember to subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. Leave a like if you learned something new and stay creative. The ancient world was filled with predators, saber-toothed cats, giant hyenas, dire wolves with teeth like sickles. But what if there were creatures that were even worse than these? What if some animals from history were more dangerous than we ever realized? From a bird that ambushed its prey to a monster whale that would swallow its victims whole, here are 5 ancient animals that were more dangerous than we realized. Starting off this countdown, we have the terror bird. Now, when you think of a bird, you probably imagine a small, fragile creature that can't hurt you unless you step on it or something. Well, I'm here to tell you that these birds from today are descendants of the true ancient terror birds. They had bodies like tanks and beaks like scythes. They could reach up to 8 feet tall and weigh about 110 pounds. If that's not enough to scare you, then this next fact will be. They lived in South America during the Pleistocene epoch, meaning they coexisted with humans. There's also evidence showing that they lived alongside early humans in Africa for over 500,000 years. Imagine being hunted by both saber-toothed cats and these massive birds. Researchers believe that their size helped them hunt large prey like camels and horses, but also defend themselves against predators. Yeah, I wouldn't want to mess with either one of these things. The terror birds went extinct around 11,000 years ago. It's believed that the changing climate and increasing dryness led to their extinction. Luckily, the only place that you can find these birds today is in the fossil record. Moving on, let's talk about the Megalania. This snake from down under is the largest snake that's ever existed on our planet. And don't take my word for it. Let's check out the facts. The Megalania lived in Australia between the Pleistocene and Holocene epochs, meaning they lived until about 40,000 years ago. According to research, they reached lengths of up to 43 feet. If that's not impressive enough, they weighed 1 ton. To put that into perspective, an anaconda, which is the largest snake living today, reaches lengths of about 30 feet and weighs around 550 pounds. The Megalania could easily win a fight between these two. No wonder scientists classify it as a giant titanoboa. These snakes are part of a group called the Boidae, which are known for their ability to swallow large prey. The reason that the Megalania went extinct was most likely due to humans. The theory goes that humans hunted them for their skins and also killed off their prey. Unfortunately, we'll never know exactly what happened. The Megalania left no fossilized remains behind, only a few vertebrae and jaw fragments. Before we move on, make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. It really helps us out. Moving on to number 3, we have the short-faced bear. Now, whenever I hear the term bear, I immediately get scared. I mean, these things can easily rip you apart. So just imagine how scary a giant bear from history would be. The short-faced bear is part of the Ursidae family, which means that it's related to modern bears. They lived during the Pleistocene epoch across North America and inhabited a wide range of environments, including forests, grasslands, and deserts. Fossils show that they reached heights of up to 11 feet and weighed 2 tons. Just for comparison, a polar bear, which is the largest living bear, stands about 10 feet tall and weighs 1.5 tons. So the short-faced bear was almost as tall as a human and heavier than a walrus. In addition to their size, they had incredibly strong jaws and sharp claws. Researchers believe that they were excellent hunters and scavengers and had no problem taking down large prey. Sadly, these giants went extinct around 11,000 years ago. Scientists believe that the changing climate, which became warmer and drier, may have been the reason behind their extinction. Coming in at number 2, we have the Leviathan. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I'm not a big fan of whales. They're so huge and live in the ocean. What if I told you that there was a whale monster that is even bigger than the blue whale? Meet the Leviathan, a whale that's so scary that it should only exist in nightmares. The Leviathan is part of the same group as the sperm whale and the ancient whale monster. First off, let me tell you about its size. The Leviathan reached lengths of up to 52 feet and weighed 60 tons. For reference, a blue whale reaches lengths of up to 100 feet and weighs 200 tons. So this thing was shorter than a blue whale, but still absolutely massive. This whale was so big that it was thought to be the largest creature that has ever existed on Earth. Yep, even bigger than dinosaurs. It lived between the late Oligocene and early Miocene epochs, meaning it lived about 33 million years ago. Researchers believe that they had a massive skull with a huge bite force. If you saw this whale coming towards you, you wouldn't stand a chance. Finally, coming in at number 1, we have the Spinosaurus. At this point, I don't think I need to introduce this dinosaur to you. You've definitely heard of it before. The Spinosaurus is one of the most famous carnivores that lived during the Cretaceous period. It was famous for hunting in the shallow waters of North Africa, where it ate fish. But this dinosaur was so much more than just a fish hunter. When paleontologists first discovered this dino, they thought it was a type of crocodile. It stood about 16 feet tall and was 50 feet long. It was one of the largest carnivores that lived in Africa. And it wasn't just big, it was terrifying. Its name translates to thorny lizard, and it had a sail on its back made of spines. These spines were 6 feet tall and acted like a sail on a boat. It may have used its sail to intimidate other dinosaurs. Honestly, I think it was just naturally intimidating enough. It had sharp claws and teeth and a powerful bite. It also had the ability to swim and move through water with ease. In 2014, researchers found new fossils that show that it spent most of its time in water. They even suggested that the dinosaur waded in very shallow water and used its paddle-like front feet to catch fish. In 2019, another study suggested that it was fully aquatic. Basically, it would have been able to chase you down in the water and eat you alive. I think it's safe to say that this was one of the most dangerous animals that ever lived. The Spinosaurus went extinct around 93 million years ago, most likely due to a catastrophic event. A new study suggests that rising sea levels caused the extinction of many species in Africa. The Spinosaurus was one of the unlucky ones. Thanks for watching. Which animal from this list was the most scary? Let me know in the comments below. Remember to subscribe if you haven't already. And don't forget to like and share. See you next time. Bye. You might not think there's much to be afraid of when you see an insect flying past your head. After all, most of them are only a few millimeters long and don't have much of a reason to attack humans. But if you happen to live in the wrong place at the wrong time over the past 600 million years, that couldn't be further from the truth. Some insects back then were bigger than your hand, and some were so scary they made dinosaurs look small fry. Welcome to my channel. Today we're counting down the top 5 prehistoric insects bigger than your hand. You won't believe how big some of these guys got. So let's get started. Number 5, Meganeura. Insects aren't the only creatures that use wings to get around. And it makes sense why. Evolution has a real knack for figuring out how to keep animals aloft. All you need is something rigid to attach muscles to, and voila, instant lift. Bird bones, bat wings, butterfly wings, insect wings. It's a wonder what other structures would work. Maybe one day we'll figure out a way to fly by flapping our elbows. But until then, we can admire the masters of the skies, like the Meganeura. Meganeura means giant nerve, and with a wingspan of up to 42 centimeters, this insect was definitely deserving of the name. The first fossil evidence of Meganeura was discovered in 1839 in the coal mines of Commentry, France, and it turns out that the French aren't the only ones who have stumbled upon them. In 1991, a fossil of this insect was found in the famous La Brea tar pits in Los Angeles. And though it wasn't quite as large as its European counterpart, it still had a wingspan of 33 centimeters. That's almost the size of an iPad. How did such large wings evolve? Well, It probably helped that Meganeura lived during the Carboniferous period. This was between 359 and 299 million years ago. Back then, oxygen levels were about 30% higher than they are today. More oxygen means more energy is available for creatures that breathe it in, so it might have been easy for animals to grow larger. Plus, insects probably used their wings for more than just flying. Maybe they also used them as sails to catch the wind while running along the ground. Either way, you probably wouldn't want to run into one of these on your hike through the woods. No. 4. Arthropleura. When you hear the word Arthropleura, you might think of a particular branch of the U.S. military. But long before the Joint Chiefs of Staff, there was the Arthropoda. These creatures are among the oldest known terrestrial animals, showing up on land about 365 million years ago, and they were on every continent on Earth. Talk about global citizens. But you probably don't need to worry about ever encountering one in your lifetime because arthropods went extinct 290 million years ago. So where do they fit in our countdown? Let us introduce you to Arthropleura. These segmented beasts could grow more than a meter long, with each body ring equipped with its own legs. Imagine a centipede crossed with a lobster. Now throw in a few dozen more legs, and you have an Arthropleura. Their fossils have been found in Europe, Asia, and even the USA. And no, we're not talking about millipedes. Arthropods are part of a completely different order called chilopods. Like all insects, they had a head, thorax, and abdomen, but their bodies were made up of dozens of repeating segments, and they shared characteristics with both crustaceans and insects. Just to confuse matters even more, scientists haven't settled on how many legs each segment had. Was it 2, 4, or 6? They also don't know what exactly killed them off. But they suspect that low oxygen levels may have played a role. Could you survive in an environment with only 10 of the oxygen we have now? What about an environment with 10 of the oxygen you'd find at 4,000 meters above sea level? Well, that's about the same as what our ancestors experienced 290 million years ago. Perhaps the air was simply too thin for such large creatures. Number 3, Pulmonoscorpius. If you've ever gotten stung by a scorpion, you know they can be pretty painful. Try getting stung by a giant scorpion that's over a foot long. Meet Pulmonoscorpius. This enormous arachnid lived in what is now Scotland about 300 million years ago. And yes, we're classifying it as an insect despite having 2 main body sections instead of 3. Remember, insects belong to the class Insecta, which makes scorpions, spiders, and mites part of the same group. Scientists have found several fossil relatives of Pulmonoscorpius, but they are all from the same genus, so they named this one Pulmonoscorpius kirktonensis, since it was found in Kirkton of Auchingarich. But what exactly is a Pulmonoscorpius? It's thought to be the largest known arachnid that ever existed, reaching lengths of 1.25 meters. That's nearly 4 feet. Most of that length came from its tail, which is also the part that set it apart from other scorpions. See, regular scorpions have tails that curve upward, but Pulmonoscorpius had a straight tail with a bulbous tip. Also, unlike modern scorpions, which typically measure between 2 and 7 centimeters in length, Pulmonoscorpius likely preferred to live on land. Another difference from modern scorpions is that it probably didn't sting its prey. Instead, it was likely venomous enough to kill its victims with a single bite, like a black widow spider. So if you happen to encounter a fossilized Pulmonoscorpius on your next trip to Scotland, watch your step. Even if it can't hurt you now, it certainly could have in the past. Number 2, Titanomyrma. There are lots of different species of ants living on every continent on Earth except Antarctica. So far, scientists have identified about 12,000 species, but they think there could be many more. They vary in size, color, and behavior, but none are quite as terrifying as Titanomyrma. Titanomyrma is Latin for gigantic ant, and this species certainly lived up to its name. Found in what is now the Dominican Republic, it lived during the late Miocene epoch. From about 11 to 5 million years ago, the Caribbean was home to all sorts of giant insects, including another huge ant species named Silene jurassica. It lived on the island of Hispaniola and grew up to 5 centimeters long. That's the size of a honeybee. But compared to Titanomyrma, that bee looks like an insect toddler. At 17 centimeters long, Titanomyrma was almost 7 inches long. And the scariest part, it was actually an early ancestor of the leafcutter ant. Imagine a creature that looks like a prehistoric alien, striding through the forest and cutting leaves with its jaws. Yeah, it's scary. But luckily, Titanomyrma went extinct about 5 million years ago. Unfortunately, we don't know exactly what caused this ant to go extinct. But considering it was a giant insect living in an ancient rainforest, it probably died out due to habitat destruction. Still, it's nice that we're not around to witness the rise of superstingers. Number 1. Jacalopterus. You might think that all of today's biggest insects already existed back in the day. I mean, the Goliath bird-eater tarantula has been around for millions of years. But compared to the largest insect that ever lived, this spider looks like an insect baby. Say hello to Jacalopterus. This order of insects has been around for about 300 million years. In that time, they have changed very little. So it's no surprise that scientists have found fossils of Jacalopterus in places like France, Germany, Britain, and even Kansas. These insects had flat, oval-shaped bodies, and their fossils show they had 2 pairs of wings and 2 pairs of legs, but one pair of wings developed differently and grew much larger than the others. With a wingspan of up to 71 centimeters, these creatures could have flown away with an osprey in their claws. And they probably did. One fossil found in southern Germany has preserved claw marks that seem to have come from an osprey or a kite tail. It seems these birds were as fond of eating Jacalopterus as they are today. Owls, we're looking at you. So although this insect was one of the largest that ever lived, it didn't hold its title for long. Its reign ended about 252 million years ago when a mass extinction wiped out 70% of terrestrial life and 90% of marine species. Luckily, we have its fossils to remind us of just how big it got. Thanks for watching. Which of these prehistoric insects was your favorite? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe for more videos like this. See you next time. From the frozen wastelands to the mist-shrouded fjords of Scandinavia, there existed a world where reality blurred with the realm of the supernatural. This was the world of the Vikings. For these seafaring warriors, the world was a constant battleground between gods, monsters, and fate. And as they explored distant lands and battled fierce foes, they believed that certain terrifying creatures haunted their every step. In this tale, we'll uncover the chilling legends of 5 such Norse creatures that haunted the Viking Age. But before we begin our journey into the heart of Norse mythology, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss out on our spine-tingling stories. Let's dive in. Number 5. The Draugr. Deep within the icy embrace of the Norwegian wilderness lived a creature that embodied both power and despair, the Draugr, or as it was ominously known, the Corpse King. This terrifying entity was not merely an ordinary spirit, but the vengeful soul of a chieftain who had met a violent end. Legend had it that his restless spirit, fueled by rage and a thirst for revenge, refused to find peace in the afterlife. Instead, he was condemned to wander the earth, forever seeking retribution for his untimely demise. The Draugr was often depicted as a grotesque, decaying figure with an insatiable appetite for human flesh. It is said that he could possess and control the bodies of the living, turning them into mindless vessels for his evil intent. His presence was heralded by an eerie mist that seeped into the bones of mortals, bringing with it a chilling cold that froze the very marrow in their souls. Even the bravest Viking warriors trembled at the mere mention of the Corpse King. For once he set his sights on a victim, there was no escape from his relentless pursuit. The Draugr became a nightmare that haunted the dreams of the living, a chilling reminder that even in death, some spirits refuse to rest. Number 4. Fenrir. In the shadowy depths of Norse mythology, there existed a creature that was both majestic and menacing, the colossal wolf known as Fenrir. This wasn't just any wolf. Oh no. Fenrir was a monstrous beast of unparalleled size and ferocity. Its fur was as black as the darkest night, and its eyes burned with an eerie, otherworldly glow. With each stride, Fenrir seemed to shake the very foundations of the earth, its paws leaving deep gashes in the ground as it roamed across the landscape. But Fenrir was more than just a fearsome predator. It was a symbol of chaos and destruction, a harbinger of Ragnarok, the apocalyptic battle that would bring about the end of the Norse cosmos. As the son of Loki, the trickster god, and the giantess Angerboda, Fenrir represented the offspring of the union between the divine and the monstrous. This dual heritage made it a creature of immense power, capable of wreaking havoc on both the realms of the gods and the mortals. During Ragnarok, Fenrir would break free from its chains, unleashing a wave of destruction that would shake the heavens and the earth. Its victims would be none other than Odin, the Allfather, and Thor, the god of thunder. Fenrir's legacy lived on through the tales of the Vikings, serving as a constant reminder of the destructive forces that lurked just beyond their sight. Number 3, Jormungandr. Coiled around the earth, hidden in the dark depths of the ocean, lay a serpent of unimaginable size and power, Jormungandr, also known as the Midgard serpent. This monstrous reptile was more than just a mere beast. It was a living embodiment of chaos and destruction. With scales the color of jet and eyes that burned like molten gold, Jormungandr was a creature that inspired awe and terror in equal measure. Its body was so massive that it encircled the entire earth, and its tail, heavy enough to fell mountains, lashed back and forth with earth-shattering force. As the son of Loki and the Midgard serpent, Angerboda, Ymir Gangur was a child of chaos and destruction, destined to play a pivotal role in the apocalyptic events of Ragnarok. On that fateful day, Ymir Gangur would rise from the depths, its colossal form slithering across the land, breathing poisonous mists that withered all in their path. It would engage in a deadly battle with Thor, the god of thunder, who would ultimately slay the serpent. But victory would come at a terrible cost, for Thor would perish from the venom of the Midgard serpent's poisonous blood, cementing Jormungandr's place as a creature of ultimate destruction. Number 2, Huldra. Hidden deep within the ancient forests of northern Europe, the Vikings believed that there lived a creature that was both beautiful and deadly, the Huldra. Also known as the Forest Witch, this enigmatic being was said to have the upper body of a stunningly attractive woman and the lower body of a horse. With flowing locks of golden hair, piercing blue eyes, and skin as white as snow, the Huldra was a creature of mesmerizing allure. Yet beneath this enchanting exterior lay a sinister secret. For although she might appear as a helpless damsel in distress, the Huldra was anything but innocent. In fact, she was a cunning sorceress, skilled in the dark arts and possessing a dangerous hypnotic power over men. With a flick of her wild, untamable mane and a whisper of her enchanting voice, the Huldra could ensnare the hearts and minds of her victims, leading them into a world of her own making. There, she would hold them captive, feeding off their energy until they withered away, becoming nothing but withered husks of their former selves. The Vikings learned to beware of the Huldra's alluring charm, recognizing that behind her captivating beauty lay a darkness that could consume even the strongest of wills. Number 1, Nidhogger. Emerging from the murky depths of Norse mythology, Nihor, the Dragon of Doom, takes its place among the most terrifying creatures of the Viking Age. This winged serpent was not just a fearsome beast, but a symbol of chaos and destruction. With scales as black as pitch and eyes that blazed with infernal fire, Nihor was a creature that evoked both awe and terror in equal measure. It was said that Nihor was forever entwined with the fate of the cosmos, destined to play a pivotal role in the prophesied events of Ragnarok. As the son of Loki and the giantess Angerboda, Nidhogger represented the offspring of the union between the divine and the monstrous, granting him immense power and a taste for destruction. During Ragnarok, the dragon would spread its wings, casting an ominous shadow over the realms of the gods and mortals alike. Its venomous breath would corrupt the waters, poisoning all who came into contact with it. And with razor-sharp claws, it would tear through the ranks of its enemies, leaving a trail of carnage in its wake. Nihor's presence was a harbinger of doom, a chilling reminder that even the mightiest of worlds could be brought to their knees before the forces of ultimate destruction. The world of the Vikings was a tapestry woven with threads of bravery, adventure, and unwavering faith in the face of adversity. Yet even in their world of valor and resilience, there existed creatures that haunted their dreams, whispering tales of chaos and destruction. From the Corpse King to the Dragon of Doom, these Norse beasts were more than just figments of a superstitious imagination. They were embodiments of the raw, untamed forces of nature that the Vikings revered and feared in equal measure. Their legends serve as a testament to the power of storytelling, reminding us that even in the darkest corners of mythology, there exists a timeless allure that continues to captivate our imaginations. Now it's time to hear from you. Which of these creatures from Norse mythology fascinated you the most? Did you find yourself drawn to the eerie tales of the Draugr, or the sheer destructive power of Jormungandr? Perhaps the hypnotic allure of the Huldra, or the menacing presence of Fenrir, captivated your interest. Or maybe it was the chilling aura of Nidhogger, the Dragon of Doom, that left an enduring impression on you. Share your thoughts in the comments below and let us know which of these legendary beings has become your favorite. If you enjoyed this journey into the world of Norse mythology and want to continue exploring the realm of ancient lore and folklore, don't forget to give us a thumbs up for more spine-tingling tales. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button so you never miss out on our latest episodes. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring the echoes of the past. The land of the pharaohs was a place where men walked with gods. Theirs was a society so divine that even death wasn't their end. They believed their pharaohs were god-kings who would one day join the pantheon in the afterlife. And while they had many benevolent deities to thank for this gift, there were other, darker forces at play in the shadows. Lurking in the dark corners of the universe, evil entities waited patiently for the chance to strike. When the scales of justice tipped in favor of good, however, these monsters could only dream of causing harm. For the gods of Egypt held a special place in their hearts for terrifying creatures who, like them, were neither wholly good nor evil. They were simply what they were: wild, powerful forces of nature, chaos incarnate. And among them were some of the most bizarre, terrifying, and majestic beasts to ever grace the halls of Olympus. From venomous snakes to demonic boars, here are 5 terrifying beasts from Egyptian mythology. Number 5, Ammit, the Eater of Souls. From all the many monsters that plagued the Egyptians, none were as fearsome and terrifying as the goddess Ammit. She was a creature of pure darkness, a devourer of souls. Her body was an amalgam of several animals: the head of a crocodile, the forebody of a lion, and the hindquarters of a hippopotamus, the 3 animals that were considered the most dangerous in all of Egypt. Ammit was the child of the earth goddess and the personification of chaos and destruction. As such, she represented a force that couldn't be bargained with or reasoned with. No prayers or offerings could appease her anger. This was because her existence was ordained by the gods to be a necessary evil. You see, ancient Egyptians believed that the world came into being when the first gods began fighting against the forces of chaos. And while they managed to defeat the demons of darkness and establish order, those creatures did not cease to exist. Instead, they became part of the natural order, eternally striving to undo the balance of the cosmos. And it was Ammit's duty to punish those who strayed too far from the path of righteousness, lest the forces of chaos grow too strong. That's why she lived in the underworld, waiting patiently for the moment she would sink her teeth into the soul of the unworthy. To avoid such a fate, the Egyptians developed complex funerary rituals and wrote down protective spells to ensure their passage into the afterlife. This meant that in life, people had to live according to the expectations of their culture and remain in the good graces of the gods, for if they failed, they wouldn't rest even in death. 4. Serpapard. Long before the days of Ramesses and Tutankhamun, before the Great Pyramids were built, and long after the gods had created the world, the Egyptian people were plagued by the mysterious appearance of a monster. It was a colossal beast with the head of a lion and the wings of an eagle, but instead of sharp talons, it had 4 huge snake heads at the end of each of its wings. This chimeric animal was called the Serpapard, or pard, which means panther in ancient Egyptian. And it was revered as a symbol of power and strength. The Egyptians associated the leopard with the sun god Ra, and it was often depicted with his emblem, the solar disk, on its head. It was also said that the leopard was a guardian of the underworld, and that it could protect the dead on their journey to the afterlife. While usually depicted as a benevolent creature, there was another type of serpapard that haunted the dreams of ancient Egyptians. In these stories, the monster was said to be gigantic, able to swallow whole cattle and even attack humans. The giant serpent was seen as a harbinger of evil and death and was avoided at all costs. Whether the Egyptians believed the stories of the giant serpent to be true or not, they clearly saw the need to appease these creatures in order to survive. After all, no one wanted to be on the wrong side of a 100-foot bird of prey with 4 snake heads. Number 3. Bennu. The Bennu was a creature of immense power, terror, and majesty. It was a giant bird with a golden beak and tail feathers that resembled flames. The Bennu was said to have been created by the gods from the primeval waters of creation, and it was one of the oldest and most powerful creatures in all of Egyptian mythology. The bird was associated with the sun god Ra, and it was said to have carried the sun on its back across the sky each day. It was also believed that the Bennu was responsible for creating the world, and that it had hatched from a cosmic egg at the beginning of time. The Bennu was seen as a symbol of rebirth and resurrection, and it was often depicted as guarding the entrance to the underworld. The Egyptians believed that the Bennu could grant immortality to those who were worthy, and that its feathers could be used as a protective amulet. The Bennu was such a revered creature that it had its own festival, which was celebrated each year in the city of Heliopolis. During the festival, people would dress up as the Bennu and perform rituals in its honor. The Bennu remained an important symbol in Egyptian culture for centuries, and its image can be seen on many artifacts from ancient Egypt. Its legacy lived on through the Greeks, who adapted it to their own mythology as the phoenix. And now for number 2. But first, we want to give a big shout out to some supporters. Thanks so much for watching and supporting the channel. If you'd also like to support us, check the links in the description below. Number 2. Apep, Apophis. Of all the evils that lurked in the shadows of Egyptian mythology, few were as terrifying as Apep, the personification of chaos itself. He was the embodiment of darkness, a giant serpent whose very existence threatened to plunge the world into eternal darkness. Apep's name actually means pervading evil, and he was considered the arch-enemy of the sun god Ra. Each morning when Ra set out across the sky in his solar bark, he would have to fight Apep, who sought to destroy him and plunge the world into darkness. Their battles were epic, taking place every single day as Apep tried desperately to engulf Ra in his coils and snuff out the light of the world forever. Ra, however, was too powerful for Apep to defeat, and the sun god always triumphed in the end. Still, Apep never gave up. He continued to slither through the underworld each night, seeking a way to defeat Ra and bring darkness to the world. This is why Ra kept a close watch on Apep, ensuring that he didn't get the chance to cause any destruction. If Apep managed to escape Ra's sight, he would wreak havoc on the world, bringing disease, famine, and war. That's why Ra enlisted the help of his followers, the Egyptians, to keep an eye on Apep and prevent him from causing any harm. The Egyptians would perform rituals and make offerings to Ra, asking for his protection from the evil serpent. They would also build temples and monuments to Ra, so that his light would shine brightly and drive back the darkness. And finally, number 1, Set's black boar. The Egyptian god Set was known for his many animal forms, including that of a bull, a crocodile, and a goose. But perhaps his most terrifying form was that of the black boar. Set was the god of chaos and violence, and he was often depicted as a fearsome monster. His black boar form was particularly frightening, as boars were known to be aggressive and dangerous animals. Boars were associated with Set, and they were often seen as his minions, carrying out his will and spreading his chaos across the land. During the annual festival of Set, people would dress up as black boars and run through the streets, letting loose their pent-up aggression. This was a way to honor Set and to appease him, as well as to remind the populace of the destructive power of chaos. One of the most famous depictions of Set's black boar form can be found in the tomb of the Egyptian pharaoh Neb-Petra-Mentu-Hotep. The boar is shown trampling over a fallen enemy, and its tusks are dripping with blood. This image is a reminder of the god's power and his ability to inflict pain and suffering on his enemies. Despite its terrifying appearance, Set's black boar form was also seen as a symbol of fertility and regeneration. This was because boars were known to be prolific breeders, and they were also seen as creatures that could thrive in harsh environments. By extension, Set's black boar was seen as a representation of the god's ability to bring order to chaos and to bring life to barren lands. So while Set's black boar form was certainly a frightening one, it was also a reminder of the god's many faces and of his ability to both destroy and create. Thanks for watching. What are your thoughts on these terrifying creatures? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe for more videos like this. See you next time. The gods of Olympus ruled from above, but below them, monsters waited. When he failed to slay the chimera, the monster laughed. If only these stone statues could speak, maybe we'd know what that laugh sounded like. Instead, we can only imagine the scorn. Of all the monsters born from the union between Gaia and Typhon, this one was surely the most favored. All of its attacks were venomous, a gift from its father. Yet somehow it wasn't considered immortal. It died by the hand of the hero Perseus. Or was it an immortal monster reborn in another form? Some say that every time the creature is slain, 2 new ones take its place. So how many chimeras really exist? How many have already been slain? And will any hero be the one to end them all? In the end, though, even if there were just one, it would still be more than enough. This monster was proof that the earth wasn't always kind. Sometimes it created nightmares, too. Number 4, the Stymphalian birds. These birds are strange. Their bodies were bronze, feathers of brass, claws like hooks, wings like storm clouds, beaks like swords. Once they flew across the sky, the sun couldn't shine through their shadows. The hero Ceyx chased them over land and sea, but they only flew faster when he got close. Then they turned and attacked, slashing him with their wings, tearing him with their talons. He needed help. So he prayed to the gods and received an answer. A set of bronze clappers. All he had to do was make noise, lots of noise. That's how Ceyx defeated the Stymphalian birds, with music. Well, kind of. To make those clappers work, he needed someone who knew music, and he found her in the form of a woman named Galeen. She taught him how to play his new weapons, how to turn fear into victory. Then together, they faced the flock. The clattering drowned out their cries. The birds panicked and fled, abandoning their siege of the city and their reign of terror. But did the hero really defeat them? Or did they simply leave? Either way, the people of Stymphalus were safe, at least for now. Number 3, the Lernian Hydra, a dragon with 9 heads, poisonous blood, impenetrable skin. What hero would stand a chance against such a beast? Hercules, apparently. He was tasked with the impossible job of capturing the beast alive, and he almost didn't make it. Its poison burned him. Its heads wouldn't stop growing back. Even its severed limbs could swim. But Hercules pressed on. He squeezed one of its heads until it choked, then chopped off another head for good measure. Finally, exhausted and bleeding, the hero shot an arrow tipped with the Hydra's own poison right into its den, sealing the deal. So that's how Hercules captured the beast. Well, sort of. While the monster slept, he tied it up, but then he had to leave before he suffocated from the smell. So the hero didn't kill the monster. He just made sure it wouldn't hurt anyone else. And that's almost as good, right? Maybe. But if the Lernian Hydra had woken up, Hercules wouldn't have stood a chance. It could have easily shaken off its bonds, poisonous blood spilling everywhere, its heads hissing, ready to attack. Who knows what other tricks it could have pulled out of its scaly sleeves. After all, some say it was immortal. Was Hercules too afraid to finish the job? Or did he simply run out of arrows? One thing's for sure, the Hydra stayed trapped. Number 2, the Minotaur. With the head of a bull and the body of a man, the Minotaur was a symbol of the rage inside King Minos. His wife's deceit brought it into existence, and she hid it away in a labyrinth where no human could find it. At least that was the plan. But the monster was wild. It craved company, and soon it started attacking anyone who entered its domain. Men, women, children, everyone. King Minos wasn't having it. He called upon the architect Daedalus and told him to build a cage so complex that neither humans nor monsters could escape it. That way he'd keep the Minotaur from hurting anyone else. Did it work? Of course it did for a while. The labyrinth became famous all over the world. People came from afar just to see it. But the monster was lonely, so it started to cry. Its sobs echoed through the corridors, attracting anyone who heard them. Perhaps King Minos should have destroyed the labyrinth after all. Number 1, Typhoon. Now this is a story. The earth goddess Gaia gave birth to a giant, not just any giant, mind you, but one so powerful that the gods themselves were afraid. His name was Typhon, and he was half goat, half serpent, and his breath could shake the earth. The gods didn't want anyone as powerful as Typhon walking around, so they struck him down. But his heart kept beating, and Zeus realized that if he didn't finish the job, Typhon might just get back up and destroy everything. So the king of the gods struck again, harder this time, and sent the monster tumbling into the sea. There he sank into the waves and disappeared. Or maybe he didn't. Some say Typhoon survived. And if that's true, he must have been truly invincible. After all, it took all the strength of the gods just to keep him down. His body formed a mountain. His breath caused earthquakes. His eyes turned into pools of water. His roar became thunder, and his essence seeped into the earth, creating monsters like the Chimera, the Hydra, and the Sphinx. If the gods were so afraid of Typhoon, what hope did mortals have? They prayed for protection and made sacrifices, hoping to stay out of the monster's reach. But the truth was, there was nowhere to hide. Not on land, not at sea, not even in the sky. As long as Typhoon lived, no one was safe. His very existence shook the foundations of the world. They weren't just stories, they were warnings. Because in ancient Greece, to anger a god was to face what they unleashed. Which of these monsters fascinated you the most? Let us know in the comments and bring these legends to life. We'll send you a special gift. Thanks for watching. See you next time. From the mystical mountains of China to the enigmatic lands of Central Asia, each echo resonates with a unique tale. These aren't just stories, they're fragments of civilizations grappling with the mysteries of existence, and if their legends are anything to go by, they have a lot to say about life, death, humanity, and the shadows that lurk at our very core. Welcome to Echoes of the Past, where history whispers through the ages. And today we're taking you on a journey across Asia to meet 5 mythical creatures so haunting, so deeply rooted in culture, they've survived through millennia. Let their tales be a reminder that sometimes truth is stranger than fiction. Starting off our countdown, we have the Baku. The Baku is a creature born from the heart of Japanese folklore. Its origins are shrouded in mist, its features a mosaic of disparate parts, often assembled in dreams, where it appears to those who yearn for it, offering a respite from nightmares. It looks like an elephant, but it's not your typical pachyderm. Instead, it's depicted as a cosmic jester, using its tusks to crush and devour evil spirits that plague the dreams of mortals. Its presence is both a comfort and a warning, promising relief from inner turmoil, but also hinting at the destruction of those same demons. This duality makes the Baku a complex figure, not just a simple dream demon. It's a guide, a devourer, and a symbol of the darker aspects of the human psyche. In Buddhist tradition, the Baku symbolizes wisdom and enlightenment, while in Shintoism, it embodies the balance between good and evil. The most striking aspect of this beast, however, is its voracious appetite for bad dreams. These dreams, which include disturbing images and feelings of falling, drowning, or being chased, represent repressed emotions, traumas, and fears. By consuming these negative dreams, the Baku purifies the dreamer, offering a chance for emotional renewal and clarity. However, the Baku does not discriminate. It feeds equally on both positive and negative dreams. As such, it is important to be cautious when calling upon the Baku, lest one inadvertently invites the destruction of cherished hopes and aspirations. The Baku stands as a testament to the intricate relationship between dreams and reality, serving as a reminder that even in our subconscious, balance is key. Next, let's talk about the nine-tailed fox. Emerging from the depths of Chinese mythology, the nine-tailed fox isn't merely a creature, it's a cipher of transformation. Often depicted as a female spirit, it uses its 9 tails as tools, each representing a different magical power. Renowned for shape-shifting, the fox can take on human form, enchanting unsuspecting mortals. This ability allows it to explore the complexities of human emotion, morality, and relationships, making it a fascinating, albeit somewhat deceptive, figure. In Taoist folklore, the fox spirit is viewed as an adept martial artist, capable of assuming various animal guises and possessing the ability to fly. Their cultivation of magic over time leads to the growth of extra tails, marking their ascension to higher spiritual realms. While solitary by nature, they can form intimate bonds with humans, occasionally choosing to marry mortals and bear offspring. Foxes in Chinese mythology are associated with the planet Venus and are considered yin creatures embodying feminine energy. They are also believed to live up to 1,000 years, making them symbols of longevity and wisdom. Interestingly, the number 9 holds particular significance as it represents the highest level of achievement in Chinese culture. Hence, a 9-tailed fox symbolizes the apex of fox spirit evolution. These creatures are celebrated in art, literature, and even architecture, with the famous Buddhist temple of the Azure Cloud Temple built to honor a legendary white 9-tailed fox that assisted in its construction. In modern times, the 9-tailed fox continues to capture the imagination, frequently featured in anime, manga, and other forms of popular culture. One of the most iconic portrayals is that of Kurama, a powerful and charismatic kitsune from the Japanese manga series Yu Yu Hakusho. Third in our list is the Nukkalevi. Emerging from the misty landscapes of Central Asia, the Nukkalevi is a creature that defies easy categorization. With the body of a horse and the head of a lion, it combines elements of power and majesty, but with a chilling twist. Its eyes, ears, mouth, and nostrils are all filled with sharp blades, making any encounter a perilous affair. The Nukkalavi's breath carries a deadly chill, and its touch brings disease and decay. It is a harbinger of destruction, leaving a trail of devastation in its wake. Despite its monstrous appearance, the Nukkalavi has a unique role in Central Asian mythology. It's associated with water bodies like lakes and rivers, sometimes even used as a mode of transportation by water deities. This association with water adds another layer of complexity to its terrifying image, blurring the line between natural force and mythical beast. The Nukkalavi is a reminder that even in cultures steeped in tradition, there are figures that remain enigmatic and awe-inspiring in their mystery. Like many mythological creatures, the Nukkalavi has found new life in modern times, appearing in films, video games, and other media. Its striking appearance and powerful symbolism make it a compelling choice for artists seeking to evoke a sense of primal fear and respect for the untamed forces of nature. Moving forward, let's delve into the world of the Qilin. Emerging from the rich tapestry of Chinese mythology, the Qilin is a creature that has captivated the imagination of poets, painters, and emperors alike. It is a symbol of benevolence, wisdom, and power, often heralding the arrival of a great ruler or a period of peace and prosperity. With the body of a deer, the scales of a fish, a single horn on its head, and the tail of a cow, the Qilin is a mosaic of different animals, each contributing to its majestic allure. Its presence is said to bring good fortune, purifying the environment and dispelling evil spirits. In ancient China, the Qilin was highly revered, considered one of the 4 divine creatures along with the phoenix, the dragon, and the tortoise. It was associated with the upcoming of the spring and autumn annals, signifying a new beginning and a time of flourishing. Despite its benevolent nature, the Qilin is a rare and elusive creature. Its sightings are infrequent, making it an object of desire for those seeking its blessings. This elusiveness adds to its mystique, making the Qilin a symbol of hope and aspiration rather than a tangible reality. The Qilin continues to resonate in Chinese culture, featuring prominently in art, literature, and even everyday items. Its image is used to convey luck, prosperity, and good health. The Qilin serves as a timeless reminder of the enduring power of mythology in shaping cultural identity. Finally, we arrive at the Rakshasa. Emerging from the ancient texts of India, specifically the Hindu epic Mahabharata, the Rakshasa is a creature that defies easy definition, sometimes depicted as half human and half demon, sometimes as a full-fledged demon. Its true nature remains shrouded in ambiguity. The Rakshasa is a being of immense power and ferocity, often engaged in fierce battles with gods and heroes. Its strength and resilience are legendary, making it a formidable opponent. The Rakshasa is not simply a brute force, however. It is also characterized by cunning intelligence and a penchant for trickery. Its deceptive nature means that it can assume different forms, confusing and overwhelming its victims. This shape-shifting ability adds a layer of psychological horror to the Rakshasa's already terrifying persona. Despite its monstrous qualities, the Rakshasa occupies a complex position in Indian mythology. It is both feared and respected, seen as a powerful, albeit malevolent force of nature. Some texts even suggest that certain Rakshasas can attain enlightenment and become benevolent. This duality underscores the multifaceted nature of evil and the possibility of redemption even for the most fearsome creatures. The Rakshasa has also found a place in contemporary culture, appearing in books, movies, and TV shows. One notable example is the character of the Rakshasa king, Ravana, from the epic Ramayana, who is portrayed as a brilliant strategist and a tragic villain. And there you have it, a journey through the darkest corners of ancient Asia's mythology. From the playful yet ominous Baku to the shape-shifting Nukkalavi and the demonic Rakshasa, each creature is a testament to the boundless creativity of our ancestors in giving form to the unknown. These creatures weren't just figments of imagination, they served as cautionary tales, as explanations for the unexplainable, and as companions to humanity on its journey through existence. But their influence doesn't end in the realm of myth. They've seeped into our collective consciousness, influencing art, literature, and even our understanding of the world around us. So, as we bring this journey to a close, remember that the echoes of these creatures continue to resonate in our modern world, reminding us of the power of storytelling and the mysteries that still lie dormant in the depths of our shared past. If you found this video intriguing, we invite you to embark on more adventures with us. Subscribe to stay updated on our latest explorations into the hidden realms of history. And if you want to support our work, consider becoming a member. Your support will allow us to keep unearthing fascinating tales from the distant past and bringing them to life for curious minds like yours. Until next time, keep exploring and stay curious.